Just your living room. You don't have to.
So anyone who's going to read in the open reading should sign up. Jerry has the list. I take it everyone who's going to read has signed up? All right, that seems to be the case. So we could get started? Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you for that beautiful little interlude. That was very nice. So are you going to accompany Joan when she reads?
Both of us, yeah.
Both of you, excellent. Oh, that's very exciting. All right, welcome everyone to Bird and Beckett, our first Thursday of the month event, which usually consists of a couple of featured poets, followed by a brief break and then an open reading in which you're all very welcome to participate. We're very delighted tonight to have Joan Gelfand, is it Gelfand? Joan Gelfand, reading with Sheila Smith McKoy, both very accomplished poets, multidisciplinary artists. Joan's list, I'll read just a few of the highlights, of course. You know, it's 3 collections of poetry, a chapbook of short fiction, a novel set in a Silicon Valley startup, and the recently published memoir, Outside Voices. Well, just for a starter. She has taught for California Poets in the Schools, the Writing Salon, and San Francisco's Writers Conference. So, and especially intriguing to me is her memoir, Outside Voices, a memoir of the Berkeley Revolution, which won the International Book Award for U.S. History. Joan, we're delighted to have you tonight, and she will be some musical accompaniment as well. So we'll kick off the affair with Joan Gelfand.
As they say, not my first rodeo. I've been at Bird and Beckett many times. What are we doing? Perfect. Thank you all for coming out. We sold this reading as kind of a reading of outrage and frustration at the moment. So I want to talk a little bit about my inspiration for writing political poetry, and give a shout out to one of my first inspirations, Gil Scott-Heron, who wrote the song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." And I went back and I reread his work, and the first piece I'm going to read is a little hot off the press. Don't be too judgmental, because I usually put my poems through about 25 revisions. So this is a short, hasn't been through that many. But, you know, it's raw. And the piece is called Canceled. As a red wave swept the states, I saw a tsunami of blood flooding the Central Plains. I saw armies convened on Market Street. I saw ethnic cleansing in Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi. I saw concentration camps in Nebraska. As the red waves swelled, I heard not votes counted, but a dirge, a funeral march, orchestrating our oblivion. I heard glaciers calving, oil rigs fracking. I heard people in Mumbai losing their breath in air too foul to breathe. As the red wave marched across my TV screen, I screamed bloody murder. What about the women, the immigrants, the planet? I screamed, why are you so fucking mean? Came the caustic reply, a shout from on high. That night that red won and blue was sent out to sea, you have been canceled. Who, me? Yeah, you. Who? It be You coastal elites, you college educated, you liberals, you trans people, you lesbians, you gay men, you effetes, you culture workers, you dancers, you singers, you poets, you socialists, you commies, you dreamers, you DACA, you brown, you black, you woke, you DEI hires, you dissenters, you do-gooders, you sick, you tired, you dying, you pregnant people, you endangered species, you electric car driving snobs, you oceans, you Amazon forest, you thinkers, you kindly good people. We're gonna drill, baby, drill, and then we're gonna kill, baby, kill. We're gonna raise the rates of every utility. We're gonna punish China, and then we're going to flatten the sacred ground. We're going to suck this earth for all it's worth. We're going to fly, baby, fly. Wait, what? Is this 1950? The last century? I may be wrong, but I was under the impression we were evolving. Our beloved mantra, "We won't go back," has been tossed and battered. I may be wrong, but I thought we mattered. So this next one, you know, when you're a writer, I think a lot of you are writers, sometimes something just like floats across your mind screen. And what floated across my mind screen as I was thinking about this reading was, "Give me you're tired, you're poor." And so I went and I looked at the poem that's engraved on the Statue of Liberty, and it's actually called The New Colossus. So what I'm gonna do, not to be too dry or educational, is read the poem that's on the Statue of Liberty and then my response to it. It's called The New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. My mother once said, "You live long enough." I knew what she meant. Things will eventually go your way. After hard work, the sweat. But now, instead of that pot of gold, the big bonus, instead of the payoff, you have lived long enough to see your rights stolen, swastikas on replay. By the way, forget about equal pay. Ku Klux Klan coming out of hiding, boldly marching in Charlotte, hatred on speed dial, vitriol on the airwaves. You've lived long enough to watch women dying from pregnancies gone sideways, doctors fearing for their livelihoods, journalists shaking in their boots. Are we in Les Miserables? Is this real? Really? What about our golden door, huddled masses breathing free? Where is the mother of exiles when we need her? Is the Statue of Liberty no longer at liberty to gather up our huddled masses? What of our homeless, the tempest tossed? Is she on probation, having to prove her point? Is she bound for the dustbin of history, an antiquated quaintness? Okay. Now, thank you, George. Interestingly, and this is kind of sad, I wrote this poem, War Rant, over 10 years ago. This book came out in 2014. And it was written in response to the war in the Middle East. Huzzah. Okay. And so it's called War Rant. Elena says she wants more passion. Andrea quit reading the morning news. Yvette sees the devil wears Prada twice. Her savior is in fashion. I check my emails, avoid overlong queues, await a daily dose of inspiration, wondering each day if I've paid enough dues. Adam watches the blogosphere for flash mobs, trends, and hotspots, and we all fret about the biosphere, while white girls don't do much hip-hop. But for me, I can't help it. Rhythm and words are my companions, true and loyal. So forgive me now if I don't exactly know how to do it. Just say this is a rant, peace and love style. I want to save the world, do it now, don't get caught by indecision, paralysis, missteps, or overwrought. But the world and I have conflicting views on how to end this madness. Stop the bombing, end the wars. I cry, but no one listens to my news. Nighttimes glisten with the sweat of murder, mayhem, slaughter, faction killing faction, Shiite, Sunni, Kurd. Why? We're all mothers, fathers, daughters. I could just go over there, I think, land smack down on the pavement. I'd put on my white gloves, make a stink, shout, what a horror, while dancing on the griddle of hot sand and tar. There is no left, no right, no middle. Stop the killing, end the riddle. But I'd be dead before you could say red, and then I think, if not now, when? Wasn't it I who called myself a warrior? Each day, new news arrives stinking, reeking with tragedies undreamed, tidal waves, heat waves, bodies downstream, a wave of bombings on an unsuspecting train. We seek for terror, but what about D.C.? We can't explain. I voted right, I mean left, is my persistent refrain. I took myself off the list of dinner parties where people complain of gas prices and fish prices and politics not spoken, 'cause I'm sick of being powerless, feeling broken. So come on, people, do one thing today for peace. Save a tree, save a child, sign a paper, beg for release of fighters and lovers, for peaceniks and hippies. This battle of West meets East is not exactly what we ordered. These poems are exhausting to read. This is another poem that was written well over 15 years ago, again, for another war. And this is called Holy War, and this was just calling to me. I don't read much from this book because it came out in 2004 and it was my first book, but this poem called to me. It's called Holy War. As attack plans rolled out like black carpets from cyberspace, carpets of a million hand-tied knots were beaten. Soldiers were beaten. Children were beaten. Still, the fragrance of mock orange blossoms waft past my window in the night. As the earth was warming and species devolving, tall pines and wooded paths wound around a secret trail leading to stunning vistas of sapphire ocean. As plots of terror were calculated, armies dispersed, the moon danced, waxed, and waned. Even as time was rushing and you were rushing and we worried about this holy war, there was a beautiful timelessness. And if you looked, if you breathed deeply, nature was holding your hand, going down with the rest of us. kind of working toward the last two. Okay. This one, George, you didn't hear. Okay. Again, this is an old poem that I wrote a long time ago, but again, it just kind of was calling to me for this moment, and it's called Even If. Even if you hadn't lost your father, your child, your first true love, your country, that cord wraps its music around your heart, that cord is cut. The one that connected you, pulled you, embraced you with its sweet and sad notes, that first sorrow. Even if there weren't fratricide, infanticide, homicide, genocide, even if there weren't Somalia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Beirut, Baghdad, even if you hadn't lost the game, the race, the job, the chance, that cord wraps around your heart, that cord is cut. Even if your house is warm, your belly full, your money's in the bank, your house is insured, and your life, too. That cord wraps around your heart. That cord is cut. Okay. I'm winding down. Here we go. We're going to get ready to hand it over to our stellar feature. And okay, so I decided there's a pretty serious reading, pretty serious tone of the evening, so I decided to leave us on a light note. And this is a poem that one of my young friends says is my best poem, and it's called Ode to Toast. So I thought we'd kind of leave on an upbeat note. Let's toast, the bread we roast, the best burnt thing I have ever known. Let's toast the aroma that rouses a dog from its coma, the waft of comfort and sustenance, the sweet smell that courses from morning to shape up our day. Let's toast heat and cooking and making something out of nothing. Let's toast the toaster while we're at it, raise a glass in honor of skinny wire coils that heat out bread's best. Finally, let's toast Tesla's mother and her Napa marmalade, cooked down apricots, the taste of sun that lightly loves but never smothers, French butter on top of toast. Let's toast coffee in bed while we're on the subject of breakfast. Yes.
No, I so appreciate your passion and connection to the issues of the day that are not going to leave us anytime soon. And we all have to use the old expression, gird our loins. We're not sure what that means exactly, but be ready. Yeah, no, it's very beautiful. I much appreciated. And Sheila Smith McKoy is going to be the next reader. And according to Joan, of course, who's very modest, this is going to be the culmination of the evening. But
She has her debut poetry collection.
yes, no, that is very exciting. It is, again, yeah, no, Sheila is distinguished as a poet, a fiction writer, a film, I guess, producer for the most part, right? Producing and, again, a list of remarkable achievements. The Bones Beneath, I guess that's the new full-length poetry collection, is just out and is described as haunting, and I'm sure that's an understatement. But and a number of other things. A co-author of a collaboration of 5 black poets writing haiku, which won an award, and yeah, no, I'm delighted that we get to host you for the second part of our we're in the post-electoral period, so we're still all a little bit trying to reorient ourselves. And yeah, so it's very important that we stay close to the home fires in all the important senses. So, Sheila.
Thank you.
Do you want more than that? Just one piece, or what would you like?
Whatever you come up with the first one, though, there'll be one that I'll sing, so I'll start with that one.
Okay.
So, and then whatever it feels like, so the
Cool.
everyone
So-
will be next to the last.
Next, you'll need to stay here and
Yeah.
tinkle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretend that George and I didn't just have that conversation that you weren't privy to. So I should start with the disclaimer. I don't have many happy poems. In fact, my son told me today as he was wishing me well for this reading, Mom, maybe you should start counseling, then maybe some of your poems would be happy and lighthearted. So, and I just want to let you know he said it with love. I typically start by reading a poem that was born of my mother's experience. But since George is here to accompany us, and this one is one that I will sing, I'm going to start with a different one. I will apologize to anybody in the audience who actually can sing. And it's not a happy poem, but it's fitting for this time. It's called Save Yourself, Child, and it has a dedication. I would like for you to add to the dedication. It says, for Central African Republic, Congo, Honduras, Iraq, Myanmar, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sudan, the war is still raging there, Syria, Yemen, and everywhere the bones still speak. So if there's a place at war that you would like to add to this epigraph, please say it now.
Ukraine.
So this is for them. Save yourself, child. It's too late for me. Save yourself, child. It's too late for me. I hear those guns, they're coming. I'm not gonna make it. I said, I hear the guns, they're coming. This is time to give my cat his diabetes shot. I said, I hear the guns, they're coming. I'm not gonna make it. Leave me here, child. It's too late for me. Just leave me here, child. It's too late for me. Take my heart and keep on running. You gotta make it there for me. Said, take my heart and keep on running. You gotta make it there for me. A story too old for time. The last breath of an enslaved mother, child fleeing to a promised land mapped only in the heart, some going by gospel train and most alone, eluding discovery in the darkening shadows of the coming dawn. Flash forward or flash back, the ragged breath of another color, that tribe, what creed this time? Watching hope on child's legs running to anywhere not here, refugees in real time. Days upon the days and still no dawning day to be found. Right now, I refuse to learn to throw the bones. Soon enough, I will throw the calories for those who gave their hearts to the calloused hand of history while freedom ran on younger feet and with their last breaths sent forth a tomorrow. Save yourself, child, it's too late for me. Save yourself, child, it's just too late for me. Leave me here, child, it's too late for me. Just leave me here, child, it's too late for me. Take my heart and keep on running. Thank you. Thank you. So I have joined the elders at 66 and 6 months old. And I want to say that because I was born in the segregated South, and I want us to remember at this time that there are all kinds of ways to fight. This one is dedicated to my mother, who was fire. She was the first black employee of the city of Raleigh, North Carolina, who was not hired as a custodian. and it made the AP Wire. It was noteworthy news. She got letters from everywhere. And the story is contained here. I'll be using the term Negro occasionally. And because there are young people here, I won't drop the N-bomb, but you'll know when it's in here. I'll let you know that my mother would have said it, and she would have been the loudest one in the room. And I think her personality comes out in the poem. So here it is. It's called Third Time's the Charm. It had made the first page of the newspaper. City of Raleigh hires first Negro non-custodial employee. She sat in the drive-through window of the municipal building, cashiering and representing the race. She took them all, water bills, tickets, checks, cash, and folding money. Accustomed as she was to their surprised smiles, she noted the slight hesitations and the averted eyes, the surprise in their averted eyes, the wonder of her blackness in the white spaces of their minds. The day he came, she saw his persona mimicked in the wasteful roar of his truck, of its largesse, a half-ton larger than anyone needed to drive to town to pay a bill. She recognized in him the die-hard cracker look of the farmer whose land her parents sharecropped when she was a child, and the look of wild abandon they had when he said they picked up and left after all he did for them. "I can take your payment here, sir," she said, in a voice that rivaled honey for its sweetness. So when he put nothing in the drawer and said instead, "I don't give my money to no ends," she had already started to smile. She directed him politely up to the second floor. And when he left the truck in the no parking zone, she quietly picked up the phone and informed her favorite policeman that there was a truck parked in that no parking zone. When he came back to the truck, he cussed the ticket and walked back up and asked again, despite the fact that the word cashier appeared in big black letters above her booth where he could pay the ticket. "I can take it right here, sir," she said to his reddening face. But after having taken the time to remind her of her N-word dumb again, he went back upstairs. But having taken the lead in their little racial dance, she called upstairs a second time, and in a smiling voice suggested that the officer come right down. That second ticket almost glowed in the afternoon sun, and she waited until the third time when he walked up to the booth and gave her his money, and she wasn't an N-word anymore. Let me turn this phone off. This is a haibun. You know that I write in Japanese art forms. This is a haibun. And so it ends with, it's a prose poem followed by a haiku. So the haiku mentions the Neuse, which is a river that runs through eastern North Carolina. Just around the bend of the Neuse, time is unlynched. It sweetly drifts by. So that's my mom. She was the one you would call if you needed somebody to be cussed out real bad. Yeah. So, like most of you, maybe some of you, many of us recognized, particularly during COVID, that we had some mental health challenges. I have lived with an ex-husband who was bipolar. My son is a brain trauma survivor. And I learned during COVID that I was a tad bit crazy too. Maybe you learned that. My cat started having lunch with me. And so I wanted to really put into words what it's like to love someone who was struggling, who you couldn't help. And so this is called X. You have arrived at the place where X marks the spot past where you will not go. Despite your doctor's warnings, I have refused to sit a vigil for your life. I cannot keep you here. We were at the place where I must watch you fail and fall, travel the sorrowful road alone ahead, or settle for being held together forever by my mother-laden hands. There are no words for some things. Some things must be written in pain. In Saba, they leave letters at the crossroads, letters that tell of some secret sin scattering reputations to the wind. We watch Saba rise behind King Kong in a black and white movie, blonde bombshell in his massive doomed hands, while waiting for sunrise, sleepless in the lonely hours before dawn. 800 stone steps, carved by enslaved hands, rise from Saba's rocky shore. I have swam in the island's warm waters, buoyed by gathering waves and happier times. Those steps seemed impossible to climb. I leave your letter on the far corner of the kitchen counter, where I do not leave a meal prepared in hopes of you eating, my version of a truce. I give you words from Langston. There are no smooth, soothing stairs, no fairy tales, without the bitter singularity of tears on the way to tomorrow. Thank you. So I'll just add, if you love someone who's having struggles, you are not alone. A lot of my work is inspired by travels to various places in the world, particularly in Africa. You'll notice in the last poem I mentioned Saba. It's an island in the Caribbean, where the black and white version of King Kong was actually filmed. This one's called Amnesiac, and it remembers a journey to Ghana, where I took a group of students to the slave castles. If you're not familiar with that, Ghana has two extant forts where enslaved people were taken before they were started the difficult journey to this area. This one is called Amnesiac. Our passports call us American. Undocumented, we all carry Africa, some on our skins, others in the burdens of forgetting. Africa always makes her mark, pauses for a generation, returns to unveil shared humanity. Color, they say, always tells, and in the telling calls us home. We stand silent in the sun-kissed room, each take our turn, leaning out of the one-way portal of Elmina Castle, a place of no return. Time out. Isn't that on silent?
I have a different kind of phone,
Yes,
but
it's on silent.
It does look like it's got the little cross over the
Yeah.
speaker.
I don't know what to say about this.
Turn it off.
It's stealing your poetry.
Maybe it's your cat again.
No, seriously.
It could be my cat. Really? Well, I'm reading two poems that are on my phone. So I'm going to turn it off, and we'll turn it back on. It ethically might not even turn off.
Oh, now you
That's
turned it- now
the
you turned it
volume
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
But you were my witness, George. That
No,
was
I-
on silent.
Testify.
You're testifying. And it also is not turning off.
Downright persnickety.
So
Okay, we're just gonna have to put up with it. I'll keep it under the book here.
there you go. Can you play something in that register? Where were we? We were, take it from the top. Our passports call us American. Undocumented, we all carry Africa. Some on our skins, others in the burdens of forgetting. Africa always leaves her mark, pauses for a generation, returns to unveil shared humanity. Color, they say, always tells. In the telling calls us home. We stand silent in the sun-kissed room, each take our turn leaning out the one-way portal of Elmina Castle, a place of no return, the narrow passageway to the slave ships, the unknown. We capture memories in flash and on disc, quiet and pausing, cameras closed when the portal compels us to see lensless and naked. We pause, bathed in the light. Silently, reverently, we take our turn at the window, unconscious of the sunlight spilling around our silhouettes. Like lovers, we meld into the pooling light, each of us a libation, poured into the light in memory of the trade in humans, chained, some in bondage, some in shame, all of us claimed. We are not alone. We do not know which ancestors touch us there, those enslaved or those who thought themselves free. Perhaps both, having escaped the trappings of race and time, Unnamed, they accompany us. We genuflect under the dungeon's low door as we remember not to forget. Thank you. And special thanks to my cell phone for being a part of that poem. This is the title piece. When George Floyd was killed, I lived in Oakland, and this is a reflection of my walk down Broadway. If you recall, the protest started on Broadway and 14th, and there was a lot in the wake. It's called The Bones Beneath. Oakland, 5:30:20. The streets downtown reflect masked faces. A bar called the Twilight Zone left untouched. Starting at Broadway and 14th, gaping windows scream it's way past time to remember the too many and the too long. Black-owned business signs and pain captured in graffiti. Be okay. Stop killing us. Captions for the hard of seeing. There are names for every letter of the alphabet. A for Ahmad, B for Brianna, empty spray paint cans, discarded cardboard signs. We insist on safe passage beyond the knees of whiteness sympathizers. A man from Lebanon asks why I was taking pictures. Don't you think this is wrong? These windows are expensive to replace. Then he talked about his father, an educated man forced to serve the British. The homeless white woman yelled to her street mate, I'm going to Vallejo, girl. Last night it got too hot here. When she saw me, she said, yeah, sister, you gotta get it before they clean this shit up. She had a beaten blue suitcase. A mural in progress. The artist had already drawn rest in progress in giant red letters. Every other week, a black person has been killed by police in this stolen land while others debate whose lives matter. Shattered windows in the building where I used to live. The storefronts on the street level still unrented. A forget-me-not moment. When I close my eyes, I can sometimes still hear George Floyd calling, Mama. Like when the bones beneath the routes of the slave ship still call for Yemanya, listen. All you have to do is listen. I'm going to read a few more. This one's called Homegrown. I believe that our next month together might be difficult for us, and this reminded me of another period leading to this. Homegrown. Hard to believe that even a spite-raised boy given a Glock for his coming-of-age gift could sit with 9 people in the midst of prayer and try to make an 87-year-old woman his first kill. But there is a history. America's most consistent trait, the quality of her homegrown hate, millions on millions lay dead in her shameless shifting monuments to race. In defiance, I call their names as libations. Clementa, Cynthia, Susie, Ethel, Daniel, DePayne, Tawanza, Sharonda, Myra, hum them like hymns, like offerings to soothe and quiet the soul. 9 old souls died of the hands of a lone gun boy, the one I render nameless, weaver of the cloak of whiteness, bearer of lies and fears that slay, specters invented to keep humanity at bay. I'm not gonna lie, this might be the lightest poem in the book. I will say that you have to move that energy along, and this is a book to do it. This one is called Dawning. We have crossed the same river 4 times, going west. The Katanga slants slightly north, then south under unnamed bridges, wide here, rocky there, cooling the breeze on the way to Queen Elizabeth National Park. Along the way, I lost the will to call you by that name. evoking a queen in a country that took too much. I am determined to discover your birth name, the one before Livingstone, the one elephants whisper. I know you. Before Elizabeth usurped your name, you sat between two kingdoms, the Toro and the Ancoli. I'm not new to this place. I refuse to pretend that the queen reigns amongst the whistling thorns of acacia trees. I shall not rest before I call you by your true name. I shall speak it to the sunrise, immerse myself in another history where your name was never lost, never absent from my lips. Thank you. Now for this curious cell phone that wishes to be heard. So my next collection actually is focused on jazz. It's called Word, Jazz, Word. And this first poem from here I'm reading to is also a haibun. Remember, it's a prose poem followed by a haiku. And this one's dedicated to Abby Lincoln. If you're going through anything, her song Throw It Away that George is playing some now is really an anthem for letting go and releasing and seeing what's coming into your life. So he's going to play a little bit of it so you know what the song is at the center of this. So one part of that is you will never lose a thing that belongs to you. So if you're going through something tonight, think about this song. But here's the poem, a haibun for Abby. Here I am listening to her song, Throw It Away. It's too late to be awake, but the song has a mind of its own. It bloomed from Abby's heart in 1980, birthed into the world the very year that I needed to be free from the things that trap women in this place. Sometime in the 60s, she walked into the Sutherland like a goddess and stopped the whole show just by being there. In Marziak, precisely 4 minutes and 29 seconds into the song, she spoke in tongues, some Orisha walking with her unseen. She spoke it like it was an incantation, an enchantment from other times. Once they interviewed a man who remembered Abby looking right at him from the stage, as if she were singing into his soul. After the show, everyone he talked to remembered she had looked right at them too. I send the song to my sisters when they seemed like lost like Abby and I once were. Listening now, I see you, Abby, an uncaged bird flying to truth, transversing worlds using ancestral trails instead of a compass, singing from the spirit, or calling from a mothership flying close enough to see the leaves change from their summer colors to the falling hues of autumn. Again, Anna Marie Woolbridge, Abby Lincoln, Amanada Museka, all the names that you hold. I find you across thresholds of time. Amanada, I too have thrown everything away to find myself. Hold your magic book close to my heart. Sometimes in the dark, she extends from other suns, energies unbound. Thank you. She and Maya Angelou were close friends, which is why you heard the uncaged bird reference there. But do yourself a favor, go home and listen to it. In addition to women and people of color being in danger under this next step in our lives, I really wanted to remember the ways in which queer people have infused jazz with all of their hearts. And so this poem is going to be the title poem in this next book. It's called Word, Jazz Word, This Be an Incantation. They have made your love a dangerous thing while they dance to your music and coupled freely just because they could live lilelessly. Jazz people know love. South, North, Paris, Chicago, Harlem, wherever live the sounds of L trains and juke joints, enlivened by sheer deceptive beauty. Jazz people know loving in all of its depths. Think of Billy Strayhorn and Aaron Rodgers, Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, being in all ways everything to each other. Think of Tipton dying to keep his secret because being a trans man was unthinkable, and the quiet sometimes after 2 a.m. when their bands headed home. They must have dreamt of conjured curious possibilities, other realities, where Gladys Bentley kept her badass men's clothes, where Tiny Davis found heaven without her hell drivers. Jazz people know love, they do. Already there are casualties, too many might have beens drenched in the sweats of a music that was born to liberate. Let this word, jazz word, heal. Let it witness the joyful wonder of unrequited love, bold, free. Thank you. Special thanks to my phone.
Yeah, Sheila Smith McKoy. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so appreciative of, and George, and George too. Hello, come on. Yeah, very nice. It's just, yeah, we're humbling and delightful both, you know, to the moral fervor and the poetic elan is very nice, very nice. Enormously appreciated. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and coming back, I do want to call out Jenna, who used to work here and is a fabulous cultural activist. She's right there, engaged in various and sundry things. She's involved in Tango Eisen Martin, who the recent poet laureate is going to be in conversation with the cultural. Yes, Denise Sullivan. I'm saying in conversation with her, who is the a cultural facilitator and catalyst, and that's at 11 to 12 on 10 to 11. Yeah, yeah. It starts at 10. It's going to. It's. I guess it's a online, but there's also. I guess it's going to take place here, and I guess the public is invited if they wish to come. Is that the case? Okay, so that's possible. Yeah. Okay, great. And then also remember that Ricardo, who is been doing a cultural project. Where's Ricardo? Yes, sir. He's doing a cultural project that. Is there a few more days running that people can get involved still? That.
Sure, it's a poetry for the people project, and I'm just inviting you to write a little bit about where you're from, and then I'm gonna put it online.
Yeah. So.
Boxes in the back with nice cardstock and pens, and a couple of example poems if you want to venture into writing something.
Yeah, so that's very worth doing. And I would encourage anyone who would like to read to let Jerry know and sign up for the open mic session. So we'll have like a 10-minute break, basically, and then come back for the open mic portion of the evening. Thanks so much. Announcement of what? I didn't make that announcement already. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, they can come up. Sure. Why don't they come up? Sure, of course. Jenna, do you want to? Okay, do that. That makes.
Hello. So this Sunday at 10 a.m. from 10 to 11, we'll be doing a show here at Bird and Beckett. It's a live stream, so that's probably the best way to view it on our YouTube page. And it's going to be a sit-down conversation between journalist, writer. She writes about musicians and movements. She's very wonderful. Denise Sullivan will be in conversation with Tongo Eisen-Martin, who I'm sure you may know him, poet laureate, educator, activist. He just became a dad not too long ago, so he's a great guy. They're going to talk this Sunday. Catch it on the live stream. We'll have a few seats available if you want to come by. Donations are definitely encouraged. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jenna. All right, I guess, and everyone who wants to read in the open mic is, Ricardo is going to do his announcement. Very good.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Ricardo Elizalde, and I have I'm a teacher on sabbatical, and so what does a teacher on sabbatical do is but invite people to write. And so this is the Poetry for the People project, and it's simply an invitation for you to write a little bit about where you're from, and if you submit it to the envelope that's in the back of this bookstore, then it'll be up online in the digital space. So if you want, there's cards in the front, there's cards in the back, there's pens, and a couple of sample poems as well that you can read to get maybe inspired.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. No, thank you both very much for that. So, we don't have too big a large number of readers for the second part. So I'll start off and read a few things to warm up the crowd. Not that they need warming up at this point, but and this is something because it's just hot off the press, so I'll go for that. It's some wolves are aggressive, some are aloof. First, I scribble something illegible on a scrap of paper that will dissolve in my pocket with pennies and random debris. Second, I forget what I did first and painstakingly inscribe on a stone tablet with a chisel words so urgent and necessary they cling like dew on a blade of grass to the outskirts of eternity. Ask not what time the bus comes. There is no rubber, there is no road. And it's funny because I really appreciate what the featured readers did today in terms of explicitly political orientation. And everything I write has that same orientation, although often well disguised. But definitely, all those issues preoccupy me night and day. And I have to, like many of us, I have to be careful. I have to be very careful. The rage and... rage is one side of it, and the other side, of course, is just a heartbreak. And you have to be careful, because impotent heartbreak is the worst of all stances to have vis-a-vis what we're facing. That's the thing. So, anyway. But this is entitled, A Heat Wave of Black Pennies. Such is the night. Such is the trolley to darkness. Heaven is a ladder on fire. Hell is the other white meat. Throw the ghosts on the train, the blueprints of a bone. You won't ignite the wind with kisses. There's nothing to lose but your least favorite tattoo, the crimson tiger that devours your drunkenness. And this is a poem originally written, Beau Beausoleil, the poet, who's engaged in a lot of great stuff, anti-war and stuff. He's been very involved with the Gaza things, Iraq. He had the Al-Mutanabi project, which Al-Mutanabi was a street in Iraq, which was it was like a bohemian street, enclave of poets and artists and alternative people. A beautiful scene that was during that horrendous, event of the George W. Bush-inspired madness there. They destroyed the entire street, killed all sorts of people, and he used that as an image. Like Al-Mutanabi was the street, a poet from 1,000 years ago who had inspired this, cultural efflorescence in Iraq. So this is a poem written as part of that project originally, but on a pyre of blue sugar, death haunts every rhyme. Good day, Mr. Death. And every song, every cascade of crimson nothingness, asleep in our marrow or jazzing our bones. Our books are a mountain of broken spines, and the blood won't stop to have coffee. Death sets a blistering pace, its shadow on the sidewalk an upside-down guitar spelling tristesse. But death stiffens your drink with a gut-wrenching growl, a discolored beard, a grammatical lapse that feeds the guillotine or torches a bouquet of poppies. Death takes a break, a breath, a breather, then disembowels a poet like a piebald heifer and autopsies a cup of sand. After all, the poet Al-Mutanabi has been dead 1,000 years, and death wears Beelzebub's bullwhip like a sprig of oleander. Thank you. And we'll, Jerry, I think you will do a few things next.
It's called Homeless. Just so, I roll up my sleeping and step into another shitty day. Maybe it rains on everyone, okay, or Mr. Sun shines and all of nature sings. But I have no business today. I have nothing to offer others, yet I am not poor. I could set the world in order and push it like a toy car, but that's not my role. Rather to be of no use at all and be totally incapable of cruelty. They say the day will come when everyone will have enough and the people will be as one. And so I prepare all my things. And so they don't get angry. I explain all this stuff to the spirit of the street to try to keep my mind steady. But such a wanderer is the mind. Thank you. Lamar? Oh, okay.
I am so glad that my dear friend Sheila Smith McKoy got me out for poetry on a Thursday night. This has been wondrous, and it's so nice to be among you. I'm going to just read one poem, and since we've been dealing with so much despair, I decided I would read a poem that has to do with something else. So this is called Nursing. When you ask where I want it, the knife you've made of your tongue, so swollen and hard, it fills the empty spaces left by bicuspids, lost excess of sweet to child or adult play. I say nothing, only nudge your lips from the tip of my nose past my own to the dark forest of my chin, where I dare you to find, blanketed in lavender, peppermint, and oud, the dimple a rock cleft decades ago. You who are not the one who's named me Ma. You who are young enough to have made a cougar of my mother and old enough to have sired me as you crammed for the Alabama bar. That fat tongue you wave traces my beard's amber and frankincense trail from neck to clavicle, and when you've left your mark there, where we've agreed you may first suck the cursed river coursing to stain my flesh's surface redder, where only I'll see it long after you've departed, you let the perfumed purse you've gathered inside your mouth drip onto my meager chest's tiny right eye, dilating now, begging like a young bud awaiting to bloom for morning dew. You blow as it swells, then latch and shower it in wet expectation. Make of me, sweet Lord, the mother of some new nectar we misbegotten ones can nurse inside and pass from breast to breast. Make of this hallowed hearth in my chest a pulsing womb, an isthmus to anywhere but here, where bare backs kiss this floor's knotted tiles and your cedar bed towers so far from Burden Hill. And because I don't have the words, I just want to leave with this song because music has been here. And because we spoke of the jazz ones who have gone away with their minds because of what has happened, I want to speak the name of Rochelle Farrell and say, how can we have peace in the Middle East when there's none at home? How can we have understanding in the land when there's none in the woman and there's none in the man? How can we heal the wounds of the world if we cannot heal our own? And where does this peace on earth begin if not in the home?
Ricardo. Oh, Ricardo. Sorry. Ricardo, all right.
I might need this a little lower. Tall people. Here we go. So before I pull out the poem, I actually want to invite you all to invite an ancestor in to sit next to you. You can say them. Say them if you got them. Go ahead, a couple more. I hid my glasses on my hat. I'm Ricardo Elizalde, and this poem is titled, I Come From. I come from. At a professional development in Arizona, the Hawaiian facilitators asked the same question. Their assessment session in full swing begun with a circle. I was late, pushed into the circle, and boom, my turn. Where do you come from? What ancestors do you bring to this circle? What are your waters? I said, I bring into this circle my father, Alberto Alcibiades Elizalde. My waters? I'd never thought of this. Seems Hawaiian children, when they are doing tribal work, before they carve their canoes, always ask each other, where are your waters? Bet my pop never had to answer this question, though when he arrived, he threatened to swim back. I think. San Francisco Bay, Pacific Ocean, all the way down south to where the salt from the bay mingles with the salt from the Rio Guayas, more than 1,000 miles south. I come from, or rather my waters are the bay, the Pacific, and Rio Guayas, a connection with my papi I never saw. I come from my brother Willie asking me to write more. He's supposed to be here tonight. I come from dinner with family, wait until everyone is served, until you start, quiet until it's time to speak. I come from that blue-collar San Francisco that every now and then I still catch a glimpse of. Catching that glimpse right now at Bird and Beckett Books. If I may, I'll read a couple more. De La said, ego trip. I'm something like a phenomenon. Something like a phenomenon. A substitute teacher approached me. What do you teach? Actually, I'm going to start all over because the title of this poem is, What Do You Presuppose About Me? I'm going to start again. De La said, ego trip. I'm something like a phenomenon. Something like. A substitute teacher approached me. What do you teach? She answers before me, Spanish or math? I say no. A sassy student asks, what you teach? Spanish? I smile and shake my head. A district admin walks down the hallway, elegant, confident, rushed, impatient, black. Are you a para or something? No. Lips smile, eyes don't. How can I help you? She of the dream school contingent, getting rid of all the teachers and janitors, cleaning house, and East Coast group playing Let's Follow My Dissertation and See If It Works. Brother Swift told me they got all them degrees on the wall, and not one of them says common sense. These educational doctors fired or excised or reassigned everyone in the building at not just one school. They even got rid of E. Tony Williams. E. Tony Williams. Classroom at the end of the hallway. Door always open, everyone welcome. Misbehaving students and parents sat in that class, arms folded, at attention. When the admin didn't know what to do with a child, they sent them to her. One day she brought some apple juice, and one of her students told her how much he loved apple juice. She kept serving him until more than just his thirst was quenched. She coaches. If a child falls asleep in the back of my classroom, maybe he needs rest. Maybe this is the only place he feels safe. A student told me one day, Mrs. Williams said you were kind of like her son. At least those educational doctors gave me the opportunity to learn from her and to be her son. Ever been in a class with 11 serious students ready to learn? Excuses aside, Ethiopia, the Philippines, China, and Mexico are watching this American Latino. It's time to teach. Do I have the chops? Israel, who now goes by Izzy, stopped by my classroom. Last day of school. This was a good school to learn in. He looks at me and pauses. Luis, Izzy's This was a good school to learn in. He looks at me and pauses. Particularly in this class. I meet his stare. I close my eyes, clasp my hands together, and bow. Luis, Izzy's classmate, sits by the window. Behind me, near my desk. He's a senior, last day of school. He sobs, a guttural sob from the soul. No llores, Luis, says Aurora. And then between sobs and mocos says to me and any of his classmates that want to hear in that staccato voice that sobbing kindergartners use after they skin their knee, Tú eres lo que nosotros, los Latinos, necesitamos. You are the one that we need. I want to say I do my best, little brother, but the words don't come. I close my eyes, bow my head, and feel the tears begin to pool. Luca wrote about doctors and suicide. Melanie wrote, my parents are like two mountains, and I am the valley that separates them. Gustavo Perez Firmat wrote that the fact that I'm writing to you in English already falsifies what I wanted to tell you, that I don't belong to English, though I belong nowhere else. I belong somewhere in between. A community where me, Izzy, Luis, and E. Tony Williams, Luca, and Melanie call home. We are a nation. I'm an English teacher. Come to my class and I always show you how to build a community of storytellers. And like Tower Power said so long ago, wonder why I was wondering about myself. Ain't no reason for it, just paranoia. That's for you, Tom. All right, so this is, I think, my last one. All right, it's a work in progress. And it's actually to an author. Her name is Carla Cornejo Villavicencio, and she has written a couple of books about undocumented people in a way that I have never seen them illustrated so three-dimensional. It's called Your Potent Power. The author in the ornate school district auditorium, sleeveless, white dress, white stockings, and tattoos, said the undocumented are often depicted as scared children behind a chain-link fence, a face to feel sorry for. But what if that fearful stare is not that, but a stare of determination? Take me from your fields, from your construction sites, from your restaurants, from delivering your food. Rip me from your homes as I care for your children. Stop me from helping to clean the wreckage of 9/11, of Katrina, of Hurricane Francine. Still we smile and dance to merengues, cumbias, bachatas, valses, sones, norteños, and reggaeton. The guaguanco will still hit with the clave, helping to keep time. Dum, 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 dum. Their poison is not potent. It hasn't yet taken the smile from my face, hasn't stopped the joy of kicking the round ball or of us gathering this weekend for arepas, conversations, and connections. It won't stop the roaring, unceasing ocean. We, and yes, you, are still just a grain of sand. Your potent power will wilt. And if you proceed with the plans of kicking my brothers and sisters out, be ready. I'm that boy sitting in the back of the classroom watching, waiting, staring back at you with resolve. We have known this fight exists, and we're still here.
Hi, can y'all hear me? Am I coming through the mic? Okay, great, fantastic. I'm very glad that Sheila got Lamar out and Lamar got me out for poetry on a Thursday night. I'm just gonna read 2 poems.
Could you use the mic a little closer to the mic?
I'm not gonna bend down to the mic, so can I raise it up? Is that okay? How's that? Better? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so this is Midas reimagined at Horseford Creek. Already, poison oak grows unashamed around the shoulders of the boardwalk. Pollen thickens the air, knits a skin over this flank of water, water unhurried as sweat beneath the collar of a shirt. Summers ago, I ran my tongue from throat to chin, needing to taste even the salt of you. At the end of the bed, filling my mouth with your name, above me, luminous moon. In another room, onions reclined in their wooden bowl. Scavenged chairs held their arms aloft in wonder. To hold, to be held, since birth this particular hunger. My parents hoisted me to their shoulders in parks like this, where rock doves waddle into the boxwoods and children totter after them wanting to touch. My parents, too, once citizens of desire. After my father died, my mother leading her children to a pond pregnant with water lilies, lilies planted so the pond could be beautiful, could be more to us than our reflection in it, like a mother unfolding for her daughter the first letter a man ever wrote her, earthly in its fragility. Letter alive with want, having been wanted. Creek alive with sensation, licking its banks as if to taste what they have tasted. My fingers find their way to the heat of your palm even in this heat, and the sun spreads open her light for this confluence as if to show us how holy it is where she touches. The water and the heads of the geese, the long neck of the cedar tree, all of it golden. And then, oh, thanks. This last poem is called To the Two Teenage Girls in a Single McDonald's Stall in Paris, Kentucky, Taking Pregnancy Tests. Last night, a neighbor's cat snapped the neck of a robin, and before I could arrange a burial, another dragged the bird to a kudzued corner of the lot. In some traditions, robins house the curious spirits of ancestors, mincing chest first over the lawn in spring when the portal between worlds accordions down to touch here and after together, tongues slipped from mouth to mouth, so fast there is hardly time to make it to the back seat. Oblivion shot through the body of the robin. I left her all day in the dirt, telling myself I'd borrow a shovel soon, forgetting. On her back, her belly swollen, feet splayed open. The other robins sang for her all day and night. For her, for her, for her. I can't be sure of it, but I am sure. Do you know what I mean? I'm positive. Thanks, y'all.
Just a second here.
Michael, can you turn off the bathroom?
right, this one's for Michael. I didn't know he was a drummer, and so this one's for Michael. The drum, spirit guide, always ready to move. Lay it down, make time move. Remember, open memory's door, paint on memory's wall. Make time move, and then sit silent until time is ready to move again. Here's a winter poem. Winter sunlight, a different geometry. Sun still warm, moving through sky bright. Winter's meaning at fingertips. The crows are quiet this afternoon. Winter's meaning to gather oneself for the coming song of spring. And I bought a book here a couple months ago. It was about Shemp Howard, one of the Three Stooges. So here's a Shemp Howard poem. Exactly. Exactly. It's called Critical Shemp Theory. Great American celluloid hero of Saturday afternoon matinees, radiant angel, funny man for eternity from black and white America, chop suey, gin joint, Model A, Great Depression America, bringing smiles to all the sad angels of earth. Oh, Shemp, slapstick buffoon, slick huckster, everyman, kook. Rainy day newsreel accompanies the hammer to your head. Bonk. I am not sorry you were born. America, better place for you because of you. When I smell the flowers of death in the air, I think of you and smile. Shemp, you suffer your brother's slaps and anger and Larry's indifference, knowing that your presence on this planet is to make us laugh. A jester, angel, matinee idol, or is it ideal? Spiritual being, totem, meshuggah, bench. The Shemp zone, destination unknown. Heep, beep, 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 beep. The outer limits of Mo. Larry, save me. Meep, beep, 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 beep. Fortunately, my mother never warned me about the evils that lurked upon the airwaves. My dear sainted mother, completely oblivious to the glorious mayhem that was waiting for me on the television. A hammer to the head, a pie in the eye, a slap in the face. Shemp, mythological slapstick Buddha, divine golden one, giver of light, and a smack to the face. Which way does your pie fly tonight? That's it. Thank you.
Yes, if people know there's some nice desserts if you want to.
I'm sorry, Walker Brent. I always do this.
Walker and desserts.
And one is just and the other one hopes to be. All right, well, I'll just read a couple of poems. I'm imagining myself as one like the voices that I've heard here, as one whose heart is open. If we can have our open hearts and let them be supported by the voice that is alive within us, then we will flourish. But that's okay. So I'm going to read this one. I'll read two poems, and this one is called "A Willow by Another Name." Footloose freedom, futility feeling. If you must be released again and again, magic disguise of ancient condemnation. Grandmother sleeps and feels better again. Wakes up beside 10 golden radios. Doesn't remember calling you the devil. for the dream you sleep beside, a still pool in a cave, when the tree of life is a cut-down willow whose roots once crawled alongside the walls of your well. And grandfather could not have that, so the axe went chop, and down it came. But the ashes became sparks again under your fiery head, and in a still pool, in a deep cave, within the vast pits of the highest mountain, you saw that tree again, and upside down, roots toward heaven, feathery and probing, branches below like molten key fingers, dug into creeping crystal, threaded veins, and clouds of bats flying through branches, turning into every animal that ever lived, and living again, turning back into bats that flew in and out of these branches, and you dipped your Y-shaped willow wand into the waters, and its forked oneness became component parts of every letter of every alphabet ever assembled, like a grungy prototype of splendor. And now that willow wand you still use today for water finding in places where it is unseen by the eye, or heard by the ear, or felt through the feet. So that poem is for all of us diviners. Yes. Thank you. And then there's just this shorter poem. It's called Milk and Honey for the Rich and Famous. Cosmic power in misery is as great as it is in excellent magnanimity. If wise to this, be prepared to not be proud. The violent bear this kingdom away. We were there, it hurt. Here we are again. We kept our hair on and made friends. Telling the truth makes your tongue hurt less. My dead friends laugh at me, knowing more about heaven and hell than I do. Who trades places with who in this thing? My foot with my foot, that's who, on the path of going forward, into the forever now and then, singing on and on, with the power of sparrows.
Hey, can I go? Can you go? Up there?
Yes.
But unless I'm cutting someone, I don't know.
No, that's who all who signed up.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. My name is Jenna Littlejohn. This poem's called God. I don't think I've read a poem up here in like 8 years. So we'll see how it goes. Yay. You resist blind eyes and trash and study slides, quick escapes in the light. If you actually took the time, severed the false fist, slid off the wet patek, and swallowed its small science, could you then take the time? It occurs to you that the noon hour is best spent stuffed and slick, razor-thin meat, and lemon tart by your new no-hand. How pretend is the melancholic trend of your noon? How close to the sidewalk is that homeless idea? Can you kiss someone without a home? Or one who goes without treats to be photographed before the blind eye of God? You couldn't kiss him. Hell, you couldn't even call out your own name at this point. You resist God and bend at the beck of your friends, the ones you will kiss, cheek for cheek, as if they too don't do all the silly fucking things you do. She says from above, I will love you, selfish and wry, ignorant and dined, until it is you who prays at sidewalk's edge, you who takes time to sledge the concrete details.
Well, no, thank you everyone for coming. Every first Thursday of the month we have this event happening, so